Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to your first session working with the kids. I truly hope you enjoyed your kickoff. Hopefully it wasn't too crazy, too chaotic for you guys. But anyway, I love the kickoffs. I think they're fun. I think the kids have fun. And we always want to start off with a fun tone. But now that we're moving into our first session, we're going to take it a little more serious this time. And we're going to get a little more serious, a little more focused, because your first session is all about creating your team culture. So first session is called Our Team Culture. In creating your team culture, you actually are going to start laying out the expectations, the rules, and the consequences. And you want to really spell those out in advance and very clearly. In this way, you can guarantee a healthier functioning team. So again, the purpose of our team culture, having this take place in our first session, is that way you can map out and really articulate clearly the expectations and the rules and the consequences of your team. And mentors, I recommend that you also follow your team's culture. Additionally, just to give you other insight why creating this culture and these expectations in advance is important, because it also helps create a sense of fairness. So when the kids are creating the rules and the consequences together as a team, it creates that sense of fairness, and everybody feels like they're being held accountable for the same rules, etc., expectations, etc., etc. And it's really helpful when you're working with this age, adolescence, that is. All right? So that's what we're doing. We're going to create our team culture. Just want to give you a little advance notice. On this first session, there's going to be a rotation of where a couple of teams are going to meet somewhere to take a student survey. So be aware of that. Make sure that you're well informed and that you're communicating with your program coordinator to know when is it your team's time to go take their survey. After they take their survey, you guys will come back to your team and finish out creating your team culture and contract. All right, so let's get things going. So how are we going to kick it off? So you're going to start off, again, want to remind mentors in a circle, doing your what's good with you and checking in. Don't forget that rule of thumb, at least 2 questions for every piece of information that's shared. Then you're going to move into your question of the day. And of course, because it's all about creating a team culture, we're going to start off with our question of the day. How do you like people showing you respect? So how do you like people showing you respect, so that the kids can start thinking about, okay, we want to be respectful on our team. And so it's a chance for you to hear what respect means to them and how they like to be respected. So a great way to set the tone. After that, we're going to go into an energizer. And again, we want to create going and moving on that momentum of the kids getting to know each other and you getting to know the kids. So it's really fun. You're going to get a little handout. It's called Interview Me, and it's again called Interview Me, and it's pretty simple. You're going to break everybody up into groups of two pairs, and if you have an odd number, of course, there can be 3 in a group, and the kids get a handout, and it's a simple handout that they'll fill out. It has 4 categories. About me is one category, family is another category, friends is another category, and the last one is what being on a team means to me. So again, we're trying to tie in that team kind of thought process. So they'll sit down, and let's say I'm sitting with someone. I'm going to fill out my little questionnaire handout here. I'm going to put their name, their grade. I'm like, what's your name? And they might say, my name is Johnny. I'm in the 7th grade. Great. Tell me 3 things about you, and I'll fill that out. Tell me 3 things about your family. I'll note that. Tell me 3 things about your friend, and tell me 3 things about what a team means to you. I'll take those notes. They don't have to be complete sentences, ladies and gentlemen. They're bullets. It could be bullets. Short and sweet, but just some additional information so that we can get to know each other. For example, let's say if someone was interviewing me, I would say in my about me would be, I love helping others. I was an only child. I still am. I love eating, especially pizza. Maybe my family category, my family lives in Miami. They're crazy Miami Dolphin fans. In my family, though they're crazy Miami Dolphins fans, they're small but loud. So just some examples of how short and sweet those answers can be. All right, once they've interviewed each other, you're going to give them about 10 minutes to interview each other. You'll bring your group back together, and then they'll introduce whoever they interviewed. So I might say, this is Johnny, and Johnny, these are 3 things about Johnny, these are 3 things about his family, etc. Then Johnny would then introduce William. He would say, this is William, and blah, 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 blah. All right? Interviewee. Fairly simple, really fun, getting to know you as, you know, the kids are learning things about each other, their family and their friends, so on and so forth. It really helps create those bonds, right? That group cohesion and unity. Next, we're going to go into creating our team culture. And the objective overall is creating team rules and expectations, as I said to you earlier. Creating rules and expectations. So, on your handout, on your little lesson plan, you're going to start off with some questions, and we have some questions already outlined for you so that you can get that conversation going. And the questions are, is it important to stop at an intersection when there's a red light? Oh, absolutely, right? So you'll throw that question out. Is it important for someone who committed a crime to have a consequence? What do you think our world would be like without laws? Do you think laws are important? And ask them also, where do you think we find rules and laws? And hopefully they'll say things like school, home, etc. So once you've started out that conversation, so it's going to be more conversational, then you're going to move into defining what a rule and a law is, and we've provided that definition for you. It's a principle or condition that customarily governs behavior. Rules and laws are created to keep order, all right? Again, setting the tone so that they understand what they're going to move into next. Afterwards, you're going to break your team into 2 even groups. In those 2 even groups, they're going to get another handout called How to Create Team Rules. And it's pretty simple, so you can follow it as a guide. But in those 2 groups, essentially what they're going to do is brainstorm. So independently in 2 groups, each group is brainstorming some rules and some consequences for their team. What is their ultimate team culture going to be? So again, you're going to break them into 2 groups, allow them to brainstorm. Once they're done brainstorming, let them use this like a cheat sheet to take notes. You'll bring them back together, and then you'll have both groups share what rules and consequences did they come up with. And once they do, then you'll have a final sheet, and then you guys can vote. Hey, what do we guys think about this one? Do we agree no cell phones during TeamWorks? By a show of hands. Exercise a little democracy, vote, and then vote on your final team rules and consequences. And pretty simply, there's a team culture contract, another handout. You'll write the final rules, you'll write the final consequences. Once you're done with that, again, we want the kids to acknowledge that they're accepting it to adhering to these rules. You'll have everyone sign and date, and that's your culture contract. And you will keep that in your team folder. So ladies and gentlemen, don't forget, you always have the opportunity to revisit, amend your rules and consequences throughout the year. Please take advantage of that. We don't want this to be something you do on the first session and you never revisit it. Please revisit it at some point. There might be some new behaviors that come about that you'll want to put on there and add to your list. And please feel free to do so. There might be some behaviors where you want to remind students what those consequences are, and you might need to pull out your team culture contract, so it's there for you for those situations as well. So again, it'll always be in your session folder so that you can pull from it and work with it with your kids. And then I wanted to emphasize this. When you are creating your consequences, ladies and gentlemen, we don't want them to be punitive. So we've even given you team consequence examples, and you'll see this handout in your packet. And they're fun stuff, like a silly dance, the chicken dance, walk like a zombie, say 2 positive things about yourself, say 1 thing you're thankful for, show your team your best smile, etc., etc. So make sure they're not punitive. Make sure that they're just really understanding that if we have a rule and we break it, that there's a consequence. And hopefully they'll avoid breaking the rule because some of the consequences are silly and they're painfully shy or self-conscious at this time. So maybe they'll try not to break the rules so they don't have to do anything silly in front of their peers. All right? So keep that in mind. Let's see here. And then finally, again, we're setting this tone and expectation. You're going to pass out a student agreement. A student agreement, and it's pretty simple. It's very similar to like your mentor agreements, but it's one for the kids. Have them read it. If you yourself want to read some of these out loud, again, to help set that team culture on your team, do so. Pick your favorite. Have them sign it and collect it back. And then we will also keep those on file and have those for you as well in case you need to revisit their student agreement. And then last but not least, you're going to create some team rules. And this is team roles, I should say, and this is very important. You're going to pick 2 students to go pick up the folder and session bag. Again, 2 students, so that way they're alternates in case one is out sick. At least you can count on the other one, so they'll come pick up all the session supplies and materials. You're going to pick 2 students to be responsible for the sign-in sheet. That'll be in your team folder. They'll circulate that, and it's their responsibility to make sure everyone is signed, even those students who might show up a little late. And then someone to distribute snacks. And mentors, you can choose. You can distribute your snacks on the front end, or you can distribute your snacks on the back end as the students are leaving TeamWorks. I promise you, you'll be a good gauge of that, whether or not the sugar is appropriate on the front end or the back end. And then lastly, 2 students to help you clean up, and I'm sure you're going to appreciate having an extra pair of hands to help you clean up. All right? So that's it at the end of the day. So in closing, I want you guys to think about this. Think of positive consequences that encourage good behavior. All right? Think of positive consequences that encourage good behavior, because positive thinking leads to positive outcomes. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy your first session. Don't forget about that survey, keeping track of time so that you can go take your student survey. So look for those cues from your coordinator. Have fun, even though it's a little more serious. Don't forget to have fun. And that's it. It's Will signing out.